So behind me is an ecosystem tank that I set up 2 weeks ago now. So the tank's designed to be almost self-sustaining. I mean, you still need to feed the fish, of course, but other than trimming plants, that's pretty much it. I've set this tank up so that it's going to require minimal maintenance in terms of water changes and that kind of thing. Let's face it, no one really enjoys water changes today, and if we can save a bit of water, time, effort and energy, and just have a whole system that looks after itself, wouldn't that be great? So that's what I'm doing here. Now, in order to get a system like this, you need a lot of plants. So we went with a real minimal hardscape, and this meant there was way more areas for planting into. I've used really fast growing plants as well. Again, they're going to use all nutrients quickly just to grow, and then as you trim those plants, you're exporting the nutrients. So there's no filter in the tank at all. The filtration is done by the plants. What about flow, I hear you ask? Well, she's not in there. No, sorry, that's a bad joke. No, we don't have any flow in the tank. The fish moving around the tank is what actually moves the water around. This is actually important because it needs to take nutrients to the plant leaves. And if you have no movement at all, your plants pretty much don't grow. But as you'll see in a minute, we've definitely got growth. So nearly all of the plants that I've used in this setup are classed as an easy category plant. What this means is we can have just like a low to medium light level, which is what we've got in this tank. I run it for 12 hours. I run all of my tanks for 12 hours. Some people say that's too much. Some people say, yeah, that it's too much. I don't think it is too much. I get good growth. Probably not necessary. I reckon I could probably wind it back to 10 hours. But I'm in the studio for pretty much 12 hours each day, and I like to have the lights on whilst I'm in there. They're all low power consumption lights, you see. I keep all of my tanks low budget, so all my lighting is very, very low budget, or even DIY, because sometimes I use floodlights. In some of the tanks that I do use a filter in, I use a cheap internal filter, and that is it. That's not to say that other equipment isn't good, it's just I love the challenge of keeping it really, really cheap, and just trying to push what is capable with that equipment. We started off the tank with a Betta fish and a nice little collection of rice fish. They were put in from day one, and that's known as a fish in cycle. If you're wondering about what that is, you can go back to the previous video and watch the full setup for details. So the tank's looking absolutely beautiful. There's just a few little problems with it that we can sort out quite easily. First of all, the pearlweed's growing crazy, like we always knew that it was going to. And there's green dust algae all over the glass. Now there's no cleanup crew at the moment, remember, so manual removal to start with is always a good option. So as we look at the tank from front on, it kind of looks hazy on the black. That's all the green dust algae. Now the rock at the back there over the last 2 weeks, initially in the first week went completely green with dust algae. So did the other rock that's somewhere underneath there. But that's cleared up by itself now, which means we are getting way through the phase of green dust algae. If you look up here though, look on these floating plants, it's all over the roots. And you're picking up now on the glass as well. Hello buddy, I've not even shown you yet. So this is the copper, I think it's a copper Betta. He is so cool. Like, he's really, really friendly as well. Doesn't attack any other fish, although none of the cherry shrimp seem to survive. It's always a gamble with Betta fish whether they're going to eat your cherry shrimp or not. But I came in the next day and noticed that his poop was very, very red. Not to worry, we can try again. We could probably get some Amano shrimp, to be honest. And now we are actually at that point where we can add a cleanup crew to the tank. The first thing I'd like to do though is clean up that glass at least. I'm not going to do any water changes. We are past that point now, so all the testing's coming back with no ammonia and no nitrite. We are all good. The nitrates are sitting at just where I like them, between 20 and 30 ppm, which is really good for planted tanks because it means you actually get growth of your plants. And we can definitely see that here with the plants, can't we? I mean, like I say, the pearlweed's growing up. And at the back there, we've got that Rotala rotundifolia. That's nearly hitting the surface now, which was actually quite low before. The limnophila's starting to sort of go out. It did struggle to start with, which is the first time I've had that. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because the tank it was growing in was just vastly different in terms of water parameters, but it's doing well now. I can see, like, let's come right round. So look at that, see that on the top? That's like the new growth, if you like. The old stuff, it seems to have just stayed stagnant, and the old stuff, it seems to have just stayed still. But yeah, like I say, you've got that new shoot coming there, and there's loads more green on some of the other ones as well. So we're all good with that particular plant. Interestingly though, we did have some Lobelia cardinalis, I think it's called, mini, in this section here, completely melted away to absolutely nothing. It should look like this one I've got over in this tank. Yeah, it should look like this stuff here, but yeah, it just melted away. I've got no idea why. None of the other plants have melted, although I do remember I had it sitting around for such a long time that it might have been on the turn just as I put it into the tank, so that could explain it. But the hairgrass though, look. So some of the hairgrass is looking better than others. You've got some daft and some brand new growth. If we look right down in the foreground, there we go, look, you can see there. Let me get it focused, there you go. You can see it sending off runners into the whole substrate system, and eventually this whole front will be a carpet. Now what's important is that I stay on top of the trimming of this pearlweed, because otherwise that will definitely just go and cover that whole section. A perfect example of that is this storage tank down here where there did only used to be a couple of tiny bits of pearlweed and now it's all pearlweed. This won't happen though. This is not happening. No way. Now I don't have anything special for like cleaning glass. All I've got is this like sponge, you know, like a scourer, like for a non-stick pan, so it won't scratch the glass. And it's so simple. You can either do it this way, which is nice and quick for small tanks, or you can get a glass scraper, a razor scraper. That works really well for tall tanks, but when it's something like this, and I know that it's real easy to brush off dust algae, it's just so much quicker just to get the cloth out like this, or the scrubber, and just rub it over it like once and it's just gone. It's so easy to do. Go get right down the front as well. Now the temptation is just to do the front glass, and I really wanted to just do the front glass, but let's not be lazy, let's get the whole lot done. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I am a lazy fish keeper. I like to get the tank doing as much as possible so I don't have to do anything to it, apart from feed it and trim it. If you could get plants to trim themselves, that would be ideal. So that's the glass clean. I mean, the water looks terrible now, but most people do a water change, but I'm not gonna, because why not? I mean, it doesn't need it, the plants are growing well. Yes, there's some sort of algae floating around now, but if we get the balance right, that's all going to die off by itself. If you just get rid of it, it's going to come back again, because I'm not sure about like what needs to happen to the tank. Plus, in a minute, I'm going to add a load of algae eaters, aren't I? So they're going to need some food. Now I've noticed here, look, one of the Ludwigia palustris red, look, that's come up, and look at this lovely root that's coming down already from a trimmed point. This was trimmed from another tank and put in. It's already sending out this lovely root, which for some reason isn't in the substrate. Who's pulled it out? Who was it? Was it you? Was it you? Who's done it? It was probably none of them. It probably just was my poor planting. Never mind. A very, very simple fix though. I'm going to plonk you there, and hopefully you will stay there and grow up. Oh, got another little bit of hydroculture Japan as well. You can go there. No, that's not going in. There we go. Now it's in. We can dry off the front, because that glass hasn't been cleaned since I set it up either. I often find that any drippages that go over the front, and then I just clean those off, and that's my front glass cleaning complete. One thing though, I have got to trim this pearlweed. It's just going to take over otherwise. I don't want to trim any of the other plants though, because they're not quite high enough yet. I want them a bit higher, so when I trim them, I can plant them back down again, and they're not just stumps below all the rest of the plants, or they won't grow at all then. So it's just this pearlweed, because it's just so invasive. Is invasive the right word if it's your own tank? I don't know, maybe you know. But what I mean is just going to take over, so I'm going to get that right down low, really low. Now I've made the mistake before grabbing the scissors at this point and just start hacking up. Really not a good idea. You need to remove your floating plants first, because then you can put them back in and they're not like all sort of entwined with all the trimmings. Oh, that would be a nightmare. So yeah, we can just stick them in a pot, and then it's easy to put them back in a minute. Right, now I'm going with the wave scissors purely because that's all I could find. Going to get nice and low here. I'm going to have to start a little bit higher than I want. I'm also going to have to cut into that hydroculture Japan. There's no way around it really. Okay, that's about as low as I want that foreground section there. That's looking good. So I find it's good to just get like that little indentation there, and that's going to give us our sort of start point to go from, and then you can just go back in sort of sections. I think that's working quite well so far. Oh, there's a little snail there. Watch out, buddy. I won't cut you up. Now, with the amount you can see floating in the water column here, it is a really good job, isn't it, that we remove those floating plants. Now the temptation at the moment for me is to like start banking this upwards as it goes back. I don't want to do that too much because again it will just be right back up the same level in no time. I've made those mistakes before. The key to pearlweed is extra short. Oh, I nearly cut up that rotala H-ra there then. Need to be careful of that because that's not long enough to trim at the moment. I mean, it wouldn't matter if I did trim it because it'd just grow again, like two shoots would come out the trim point, but I just want it a bit higher. It's actually doing really well down there considering the fact it's been blocked from the light by all this pearlweed. And there we have it. The pearlweed has been, no, that bit needs to go and that bit needs to go. The pearlweed has been shortened. Looking good. That side anyway. So it's making a massive mess, but I have to say, I'm already loving the look and I'm not even complete yet. So really good when you can keep up on the trimming. Taking extra care in this section. Look, I really don't want to trim up that Ludwigia there, the red Ludwigia, because it's just not ready yet. It does mean you've got to be a lot more fiddly with it, but it's worth the extra time, I think. The last bit, there we go. Get up you, and you. Good thing about pearlweed though, to be fair, look, is as you trim it, it all floats to the top for you. It doesn't get caught up in everything, so you can see what you have done and what you haven't done. So that's a really good amount trimmed there. Look, we've got tons, but all of it, well, majority of it is just too short. It's like tons of little snippets, which means I'm not going to reuse that. It's just get rid of that now. Of course, making sure not to scoop up any of the fish. Rice fish are actually pretty good though at getting out of the way. They're quite aware. Because they're near the surface quite a lot, they're not sort of dopey to anything. Now that's all cleared, we can put all our floating plants back in. Oh, they don't look great like that. Good thing about salvinias is you can just chuck it in, and once you flick it around a little bit, it turns itself up the correct way, because yeah, that didn't look good for a second there, but we're all good now. Ideal. So that's now looking really, really good. I'm loving that. Now all that mistiness of the water, that will just settle because obviously there's no filter in here, remember, apart from the plant, so it can't pick it all up. You could do a water change, but I just don't feel the need to. The whole point of this tank is an ecosystem, let it balance itself out. Now I want to go to the shop and get some algae eaters for the tank. I'm thinking Amano shrimp because they're much bigger than cherry shrimp and you won't be able to eat them. And just a few Otocinclus as well. It doesn't need many in a tank this size. So for instance, this tank here is the same size and it's only got 3 in there and it's done a really, really good job. There's one of them. So I think I'll just get 3 again. So maybe 10 Amanos for that size and 3 Ottos, and I think that should be enough. Okay, Matt, if we can just pretend that I've just arrived and I've not been here already.
I'm in the same t-shirt.
You're in the same t-shirt, that's why I'm making a point of saying pretend, because we've just been filming an update on this. But also, whilst I'm here,
yeah,
I need, please, a clean-up crew for the ecosystem tank. I'm looking for some Amano shrimp, 10 please. Standard. And I think 3 Otocinclus would be good.
Nice, yeah, we can sort that. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it.
You've got them in. I mean, you've always got those in.
Yeah, normally,
you haven't been here. You've just been having babies.
Yeah, I haven't got a clue, to be honest.
This is the store. Welcome to the store, Matt. Can you still remember it?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, the Ottos will be at the back. It'll be fine.
No, you worked on Friday, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
He's on paternity leave and he's still working.
Well, yeah, it's just
this guy, Martin, eh? This guy.
It's only 1 day out of 4 weeks. So no, 2 days out of 4 weeks actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know, got to keep my foot in.
But you've got 2 babies, haven't you? Your baby and the store.
Yes.
So, just in case you guys haven't seen this already, how good is the tank looking? All of that at the top there is the valve from the back just coming forwards. It's crazy. We just added a load more fish as well from my African tank, because that's what the tank needed, wasn't it? More fish. And now it's got it. Anyway, clean up crew, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So Matt, I'm gonna need some decent sized ones because I did put 10 cherries with the Betta fish that we've got in the eco tank, and the next day its poo was bright red. But then cherries are way smaller than Amanos anyway.
A lot smaller, yeah. We've got some decent sized ones in here. Pick out a few chunky boys and girls.
I think we should be good actually because they're still bigger than the rice fish that are in with him.
Oh well, yeah.
So hope fingers crossed.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
If not, then that's an expensive snack. So we're back from the fish shop. I've been acclimating the fish and the shrimp. I've got the shrimp here and they are ready to go in. All the temperatures are matching, so we can just put them straight into the aquarium. They should get to work straight away. Like I said before, there's still quite a lot of algae in there, you know, in terms of just floating in the water column. That's now going to settle down on everything, so they're going to have a field day with the amount of food to eat. Oh yeah, just quickly, look at the amount of pearling going on since we did that trimming. I did that this morning. Obviously, they've been sat under the light now all day, and just, well, not all day, it's been a couple of hours, but look, it's just streaming off. Now, in tanks without flow, you can see pearling a lot easier, especially when you've just cut the plant, because obviously the oxygen's coming right out of the stem. I've had pearling in this tank already, but not to this degree, but that's always going to be the case with no flow and trimmed plants, isn't it? There's no CO2, remember, and there's no filter even, so it's just a decent, medium sort of level of light and freshly trimmed plants. The oxygen's just kind of leaking out of them at the moment. And that's lovely, of course, but oh, actually, no, hang on. Before I put these shrimp in, I need to feed the tank, purely because these fish know that every time something comes in the water, it's usually food. And here we go, look, just a nice little crumbling of the flake. Not too much, because there's not much fish in here, so or not many fish in here, should I say. There you go. I'll give you a nice bigger flake. There you go, buddy. Oh, don't spit it out, eat it. Why are you playing with your food? He's like, this is not a shrimp. Rice fish going to town on everything though. That'll all be gone within like a minute or so. Oh, there you go, now you want it, do you? Good boy. Right, they're distracted. Put the Amanos in. Whee! That's definitely more than 10, so thank you for that, Matt. He's just got a scoop for me. Straight down to the bottom, all safe. So they'll take some getting used to and adjusting to the whole situation. But straight away they're down on that bottom area and they can go and hide if they want to. He is none the wiser, and so hopefully we're all good. Like I say though, good size in comparison. Will he come down and check them out at all? No, he's just checking out the food at the moment, which is exactly what we wanted. But if you look there, you go, look, here's the size of them, come across, and there's the size of him. Yeah, they're bigger than the rice fish, so they're going to be absolutely fine. Brilliant. Right, now for the Otocinclus. Some of you may have been noticing that I didn't drip acclimate the Amana shrimp there, so my water parameters are really, really good, and I never have to acclimate Neocaridina or Amana shrimp, so they'll be absolutely fine. I've done this loads of times, all good. The only thing I like to get right is the temperature matching, and it was. In your water parameters and where you buy your shrimp from, they might be so different that you might need to drip acclimate. So if that's something you need to do, then you should do it. Mine though, all good. God, they're everywhere now. And now for the Otocinclus. Now these have also been temperature acclimated and straight in, look at that. Now let's get a quick shot of them because Ottos are very shy and they're gonna just clear off as soon as possible. But they are fantastic at doing the job that they do. We've got two slightly different kinds of species, I think, here. Could be just the coloration, so because that bottom one was a lot darker. That one is fine, I can assure you. It's just trying to blend in the most awful way possible. There you go. Go to the back, buddy. Go to the back. You don't want to go there. Go somewhere else. Like, you're right out in the open. You'll feel more safe if you just go and hide. Good size, these Ottos as well. So yeah, one thing I can tell you, on episode 3, this tank is going to look a lot different. I think it'll be a lot more lush and the growth will be far more pronounced in their background areas, and also there won't be a spot of algae. That's what I'm hoping for, fingers crossed. Hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, hit the like and the subscribe button and all of that. Ding the bell, see you on the next one. Cheers.